At my husband's funeral I got a message. I am still alive, trust no one. The phone buzzed in my coat pocket while the minister was reading the 23rd Psalm. I thought it was the funeral home confirming the flowers, so I slipped it out just far enough to silence it. That's when I saw the preview on the lock screen. Unknown number. 10 words. No punctuation except the exclamation point. I am still alive, trust no one. My knees buckled. The pew creaked as Sarah, my sister-in-law, grabbed my elbow to steady me. She thought I was fainting from grief. I let her think that. I thumbed the screen dark and stared at the casket 6 feet in front of me, mahogany, polished until it reflected the stained glass saints like a black mirror. Inside lay Mark, or what everyone insisted was Mark. Closed casket, because the coroner said the car fire left nothing recognizable. The message was from Mark's old number. The one he'd had for 12 years. The one the police returned to me in a plastic evidence bag along with his charred wallet and wedding ring. I shoved the phone back into my pocket and felt the vibration again, like a trapped moth. Another message. I didn't look. Not here. Not with 200 people watching me be the perfect widow. When the service ended and the pallbearers wheeled him out, I followed the casket down the aisle on legs that didn't feel like mine. Dirt was already hitting the lid by the time I reached the grave. Clods of red Georgia clay. Thud, thud, thud. Each one sounded like a lie. I waited until the last handshake, the last casserole promise, the last, call if you need anything, Emily. Then I drove straight home, ran upstairs, locked the bedroom door, and pulled the phone out with shaking hands. 2 new messages. First, you're being watched. Delete this thread after reading. Second, do not go to the police. They're part of it. I stared until the screen went black, then white again from my thumb pressing too hard. My husband, my funny, stubborn, alive husband, was texting me from 6 feet under. I typed back before I could stop myself. Mark. 3 dots appeared. Then, it's me, M. I'm sorry. I love you. I had to disappear. My sob came out like a bark. I clapped a hand over my mouth so the neighbors wouldn't hear. The house still smelled like him, coffee and cedar from the closet where his jackets hung. I hadn't moved a thing in the 11 days since the accident. I typed, "Where are you?" The reply took longer this time. "Safer if you don't know yet. They think I'm dead. That's the only thing keeping you alive." Who is they? People I owed. People who don't forgive. Mark had been an accountant. A boring, wonderful, golf on Saturday accountant. We lived in Alpharetta, Georgia, good schools, better cul-de-sacs, zero excitement. The most dangerous thing he'd ever done was eat gas station sushi on a dare. I called the number. Straight to a robotic voice. "The subscriber you have dialed is not available." I texted, "This isn't funny. Whoever you are, stop." Immediate reply. "Check the top shelf of my closet. Left side, blue shoebox." I was already moving. I dragged the bedroom chair over, climbed up, and pulled down the box he kept his old Clemson memorabilia in. Inside, foam football, ticket stubs, a dried-up wristband from our first date. Underneath, a yellow legal pad. On the first page, Mark's handwriting. "If you're reading this, I'm either dead or I had to vanish. Either way, burn after reading." Page 2 was a list. Names I didn't recognize. Dollar amounts that made my stomach drop. Dates going back 3 years. And at the bottom, in red ink, "They'll come for you to make sure I'm really gone. Trust no one. Especially not Detective Harlan." Harlan was the lead investigator on Mark's accident. The one who sat at my kitchen table 3 days ago with sad eyes and bad coffee breath, telling me how the fire was so hot they had to use dental records. The one who handed me Mark's ring like it was a sacrament. My phone buzzed again. "You found it." I typed. "Yes." "Good. Now listen carefully. Tonight, 11:17 p.m., take the dog and drive to the Quick Trip on Windward Parkway. Park under the light by Pump 6. Leave the phone I'm texting you on the front seat. Walk inside. Buy a Coke Zero. Count to 100. Come back out. There will be a black F-150. Get in the passenger side. No questions." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. "This is insane. It's the only way, M. I'm so sorry I dragged you into this." I looked around our bedroom, the wedding photo on the dresser, the indentation in his pillow I still hadn't washed. 11 days ago he kissed me goodbye at 6:42 a.m. and promised to pick up milk. Now I was supposed to abandon his funeral leftovers and drive into the night because a ghost told me to. Another text. If you don't come, they'll know I'm alive. And they'll kill you to get to me. I sat on the edge of the bed and cried until my ribs hurt. Then I stood up, wiped my face, and started moving. I took a shower so hot it scalded. Dressed in black jeans and the hoodie Mark wore when he mowed the lawn. Packed a go bag like I'd seen in movies, passport, cash from the safe, the Glock he taught me to shoot at the range and then begged me never to touch again. At 10:45 I leashed Bailey, our golden retriever who still searched every room for his dad. I kissed his head and locked him in the laundry room with a Kong full of peanut butter and a note on the counter for Sarah, emergency trip. Back in a few days. Please feed Bailey. I left every light in the house burning. Let them think I was home grieving. At 11:12 I pulled into the Quick Trip. The lot was bright as a stadium. I parked under the light by pump 6 exactly, cracked the windows for air, left the burner phone on the seat like instructed. Inside, the cashier was watching security footage of himself on his phone. I bought a Coke Zero. Drank half in 4 swallows. Counted to 100 staring at a rack of beef jerky. When I walked back out, my SUV was still there, but a black F-150 was idling beside it. Tinted windows. Engine rumbling like a warning. The passenger door opened from the inside. I got in. The man behind the wheel wore a Braves cap pulled low. He didn't look at me, just pulled out of the lot and merged onto 400 South. Seatbelt, he said. His voice wasn't Mark's. Who are you? I asked. Someone your husband paid a lot of money to keep breathing. He handed me a blindfold. Put it on. No, he sighed like a tired parent. Mrs. Caldwell, I'm the only thing standing between you and a bullet right now. Blindfold, please. I put it on. We drove for what felt like hours, highway to back roads, gravel crunching, the smell of pine getting stronger. Finally the truck stopped. Door opened. Hands guided me out, up 3 wooden steps, across a threshold that smelled like wood smoke and lemon polish. The blindfold came off. I was in a small cabin. Fishing rods on the wall, plaid couch, a fire already going. And standing in front of it, thinner, sunburned, a jagged cut healing across his left cheek. Mark. He opened his arms. I hit him so hard we both stumbled. You bastard, I sobbed into his shoulder. You let me bury you. I know. His voice cracked. I know, I'm sorry. I punched him in the chest. Again, until he caught my wrists and pulled me close and I cried until there was nothing left. Eventually he led me to the couch. The man in the Braves cap, Rafe, brought us coffee in chipped mugs that said world's best dad. I laughed hysterically at that. Mark held my hands like they were spun glass. Start talking, I said. He did. 3 years ago a client asked him to move some numbers around. Just a little creative accounting. The client was connected, cartel connected. Mark said no. They made it clear, no, wasn't an option. So he did it. Once. Then again. And again. Until he was in so deep the only way out was a coffin. He started skimming evidence, building a file to take to the FBI. But they found out. The car accident was supposed to be his penalty, and a warning to anyone else who got ideas. Except Mark switched places with a John Doe from the morgue who matched his height and build. Paid Rafe, an old army buddy turned fixer, to pull the body, torch Mark's Aunty with it inside, and fake the dental record swap. The cut on his face. From crawling out of the wreck before the fire took. I had 48 hours to vanish, he said. If I contacted you before they were sure I was dead, they'd come for you. I couldn't risk it. I stared at him. And now they think I'm Ash. You're the grieving widow. We disappeared together. Rafe's got new ids, a plane in a field 20 miles from here. Tonight we're ghosts. I looked around the cabin. At the duffel bags by the door. At Rafe cleaning a handgun on the kitchen table like it was Tuesday dishes. This is insane, I whispered. I know. I hate you. I know. I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, pine trees pressed close, needles brushing the glass like fingers. Behind me Mark said softly, I never touched another woman, I never stopped loving you. I got scared and I got stupid. I turned. You let me pick out your casket. He flinched. I watched from the ridge with binoculars. I saw you fall apart. I've never hated myself more. Something cold settled in my stomach. Who's buried in your grave, Mark? He looked away. Tell me. A drifter. Overdose. No family. Rafe. Arranged it. I felt the room tilt. You put a dead man in the ground and let me mourn him. I put a dead man in the ground so we could live. Rafe cleared his throat. We got maybe an hour before they notice she's not home. Clock's ticking. Mark stood. I know you hate me right now. You should. But come with me. Please. We'll spend the rest of our lives making it up to you. I thought of the mahogany box under 6 feet of dirt. Of the ring on my finger that belonged to a stranger. Of the life I'd lived for 11 days thinking love could end in a phone call and a fireball. I looked at my husband, alive, trembling, eyes begging. I took one step toward him. Then another. Outside, an engine growled in the distance. Headlights swept across the windows. Rafe was at the door in a heartbeat, pistol raised. We've got company. Mark grabbed my hand. The first bullet shattered the window before he could finish. Glass rained. Rafe returned fire. Mark dragged me down behind the couch as rounds chewed the log walls. How did they find us? I screamed. Mark's face went white. The phone. I told you to leave the phone. I did. He looked at me with something worse than fear, realization. Then they're tracking you some other way. Rafe yelled, back door. Go. Mark yanked me up. We ran through the kitchen, out into the night. Pine needles stabbed my bare ankles. Behind us the cabin erupted in gunfire. A second truck blocked the dirt road, black SUV, no plates. 2 men jumping out, rifles raised. Mark shoved me behind a tree. Stay down. He pulled a gun I didn't know he owned from his waistband and fired 3 times. 1 man dropped. The other dove for cover. Rafe burst out the back door, bleeding from his shoulder but still moving. He lobbed something small and black toward the SUV. Grenade. The explosion lit the forest orange. I felt the heat on my face. Mark grabbed my arm. Run. We ran. Branches whipped my cheeks. My lungs burned. Behind us, more engines. More guns. We hit a creek, water cold as ice. Mark half carried me across. On the other side, hidden under camo netting, a jeep. Rafe caught up, tossed Mark the keys. I'll hold them off. You've got 6 minutes to the airstrip. No, Mark said. We all go. Rafe smiled, blood on his teeth. Some debts you pay in full, brother. He pressed something into Mark's hand, a detonator. When you hear the boom, you'll know the road's closed. He was already turning back toward the gunfire. Mark started the jeep. I looked at him across the seat. You knew this could happen. I hoped it wouldn't. He floored it. Tires spun, caught. We shot down a logging trail barely wider than the jeep. Behind us, the night exploded again, bigger this time. The road we'd just left became a fireball. Rafe. I didn't cry. Not then. There wasn't time. We hit the airstrip, a grass strip carved out of nowhere. A twin-engine Cessna waited, prop already turning. A woman in the cockpit waved frantically. Mark killed the lights, coasted to a stop. He ran around, yanked my door open. We have 2 headlights behind us. 2 sets. Closing fast. Mark swore, shoved me toward the plane. Get in. I climbed the wing, tumbled into the back seat. Mark jumped in beside the pilot, slammed the door. The plane rolled before he even had his belt on. Bullets pinged the fuselage as we lifted off. I watched the treetops fall away, the fire on the mountain shrinking to a spark. The pilot, a woman with a buzz cut and no patience, banked hard south. You 2 better be worth the price on my head. Mark reached back, found my hand. His was shaking. I looked down at the ring on my finger. The dead man's ring. I pulled it off, rolled down the window, and let the wind take it. Somewhere below, a stranger wore my husband's name on a headstone. Up here, 30,000 feet over the gulf, I started becoming someone else. Mark squeezed my fingers. I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. I looked at him, at the man I'd married, mourned, and now followed into exile. You'd better, I said. The plane droned south toward whatever country didn't ask questions and didn't have extradition. Behind us, the life we knew burned just like the cabin. Ahead was only sky, and for the first time in 11 days, I breathed. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon, and be sure to express your opinion in the comment section. Thank you.